There's some people who are new. You've all been here before, everybody?
I'm new.
You're new. Okay, I'll let him ask the famous question of why are you here and how did you get here? So I'll save that for later.
Okay.
But
No,
in terms
I know he how he got here, but
oh, you think you know,
I was just going to do one of these.
Do you think the path might be next to him?
creative.
I like that. Okay, this is the 12th year that the center has been hosting the last Friday of the month Study of the Tao with Dr. Alex Fang. And I think all of you know the story that Dr. Fang, who was born in Canton, China, and then the family immigrated to Taiwan after the Cultural Revolution and then eventually to the United States, began his studies in Taoism as a young boy, like age 6 or 7. And his father, a famed Taoist scholar, priest, and philosopher, was intent that his Taoism, which he called Jidaoism, would be infused in his young son, who then went on to excel in martial arts and traditional Chinese medicine, and put the Taoist thought into his healing as well as to his martial arts. Had his students in martial arts begin and end with a meditation. And certainly used Taoism in his Qigong, in his healing practice with the needles. But in December of 1999, Dr. Fang felt that he would like to extend his Taoist thoughts and his father's teachings, as well as his own reworking of them, to a larger audience, which all of us heaved a sigh of relief. It meant we didn't have to do 100 singing stances or get needles in order to hear about Taoism. That was a good thing. So he began with a meditation on New Year's Eve, and it was so well received that people said, "Will you do that again?" And out of that was born the last Friday of the month, Study the Tao with Dr. Alex Fang. It's a little different every month, just as who comes is a little different, and I like to cherish that as an expression of the Tao. I don't quite know where the river is going to run. The joy is that it runs and that it can take its own path. I was thinking tonight in terms of preparing for the class. Dr. Fang and I recently did the monthly newsletter, which you received if you're on our email list. I won't ask how many people read it, it'll soon become apparent. But the theme of his whisper in that issue was on ritual, and ritual as an expression of gratitude. And I didn't really think about it until I was driving over tonight, and I thought, how appropriate. It's Memorial Day weekend. And so Memorial Day weekend, although you may not, the first thing that may come to mind is not gratitude, but barbecues and beaches and first jet skiing. It is the intent of the holiday, of course, to have memory with gratitude for people who fought the wars, primarily, who stood up for the freedom of the American people. And I thought for myself how ritualistic that was for me growing up. Every man on both sides of my family for a couple generations, beginning with the Civil War, had fought in wars. My father was very proud of having been in World War II, and he still had his uniform, and he marched every Memorial Day, and we rode our bicycles with the little crepe paper in the wheels and the little bells to celebrate Memorial Day right along with him. And it was a ritual in our small town that one high school senior every year got to memorize and stand up at the Memorial Day service at the local cemetery and recite the Gettysburg Address. So of course, this was a big thing in my family. Each of we 3 girls had to win the prize to stand up and recite the Gettysburg Address when we were a junior in high school. So I was thinking about all that coming here, and I thought, I don't do that anymore. I don't go to Memorial Day parades. I don't really celebrate or even always use the day to remember the warriors per se. And I realized that for myself, part of that was in the late 60s with the Vietnam War, my own decision, especially as people I love were going to fight that war and we struggled with, is that necessary? Do they need to go? And in many instances, do they need to die? And I realized that was probably the beginning for me as a young adult, that I would have to have my own ritual. The Memorial Day as dressing up in the World War II uniforms and shooting the rifles and some of those things were probably not a ritual that I would continue because it no longer had the same meaning for me. So I was thinking about that as I drove here because, as you know from the Whisper, some of the things that Dr. Fang and I have done this past month is help some families do funeral rites or rituals for their loved ones, and also to help two couples prepare for their marriages, both very ritualistic activities. And if you ask a Taoist priest to do your funeral or to marry you, you don't come and say, "What do you want us to do?" You also don't say, "What's the right thing to do? What should be done? What do others do?" And I think that was really such a revelation for me, sitting and talking with these families and these people about to be married. How uneducated or unprepared we are to talk about what's important to us as our own rituals. And so I found Dr. Fang's presentation, particularly to the family that was planning the funeral, because they were burying the matriarch. She was 93, 94. She had always been strong. She had just had a cervical fusion in her neck, which isn't what killed her. That's not what she died of. She survived all of that. But just one day, she just died. And the family it was just very difficult for them. They weren't expecting her to die. She'd been there forever. And she was the holder of the ritual. She was the one who always decided what was said at funerals and what the roles that different people would play during the ceremonies. And so the family had never talked with her about what she wanted. And they were struggling with, how can we do the right thing? And one of the graces of Taoism, as expressed through Dr. Fang's approach to it, was his words to them, which said, "What's your intent?" Your intent is to be grateful to Po. Your intent is to honor her life. There's no way you can do anything that's wrong. There's no way you can engage in a ritual that she wouldn't like, as long as your intent is embedded in that gratitude and in that wish to honor that person's life. And they struggled with that. They really wanted the magic little Taoist book, page 7, funeral rites. And that doesn't exist. You know, you can go back to the old text and you can find some ritualistic things that were said and danced. But really the true Taoist path is one of looking at what has meaning for you, and particularly what has meaning for those around you. And as we look at younger generations, what gives them meaning, what keeps them connected, what helps them be centered, what helps them give meaning to something like a wedding, a funeral, the passing of someone that's dear to them. So that's my little Memorial Day introduction. I'm glad all of you are here, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Fang.
Thank you, Shani. Can you hear me? Loud enough?
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to the Taoist Center. Shani mentioned earlier that we all have our own path that you need to discover. Some of us trigger like water coming out of the well. Some of us have this urgency. Some of us are like lake. Some of us are like sort of oceanic. Just all still water. Just transforms. So I always ask new people how you get here. Why are you here? that kind of stuff. I think. Anyway,
I'm new.
what is your name?
My name is Lauren. I don't remember how I ended up on your email list, but that was very recent. And I think I'm here because I thought I should meet some Taoists in the neighborhood while I'm still here in the Bay Area.
Hello.
Okay.
You're the Taoist. It fluctuates. Sometimes, I count to like 200 people for conference. So I'm reaching for like 5,000. That's the lesson that I have to learn, like how to do this. Anybody else listening today? First time.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I found out through her. She's my roommate. I practiced Tai Chi for a number of years with a Taoist teacher in another country.
In another country?
Yeah,
That's great.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rican Taoist, cool.
Yes. He's a Puerto Rican Taoist.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
My name's Deborah. I'm new to the Bay Area, about a year. I study Chinese medicine, so I think this is a good way to strengthen my practices.
Are you a practitioner? Are you a student?
A student, yeah.
At which school?
AIMC,
In
Berkeley.
Berkeley. It's a good school. Welcome to the field. And you do have to have Chinese medicine, you do have to have Taoism as its foundation. All Chinese medicine, I wouldn't say all Chinese medicine, but I would say 90.9% of Chinese medicine stems from the idea of Taoism, how it's developed, which we'll talk about a little bit today, and also the fascination for Taoists to be like with health. Everything has to do with health, mental health, psychic health, emotional health, physical health, so also social health, cosmic health, psychic health. Maybe I said that. Anybody else? Yes.
Yeah, my name is Rakan, and I'm here because I don't know anything about the Tao, and I read this book recently that said when people ask you what the meaning of life is, what they're really trying to say is, tell me something profound that gives my life more significance. And so I'm always trying to figure out what the meaning of life is, so I figured I'd show up here and see if there's something profound that said that gives my life more significance.
Sorry. And the fact that you can laugh about it is Taoist. This is it. And that don't take things so seriously. Profoundness, magnificence, meaning of life, your path, your name. I was working with Marianne. Marianne's my German teacher. I'm recently recapturing my German. My mother was German, so this is like a sort of rebirth of that experience. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
So she was saying that her name is Marianne, comes from Mary. And Mary is the mother of Son of God. So it's a very powerful place to be the birth one of the direct descendant of God. So giving birth to God in a way. So she called herself Marianne, that became her name. So there's meaning in her name. And I told them about my story, where when I was born, my mother was counting backwards. 1,999, 998, just to calm herself from the birth, I guess, after birth. So my father came in, and my mother says, so my father says, ein großer Junge. Großer wie groß, ein big, groß, big. Junge, boy, and a großer Junge. So when she was counting backwards, the date coincides with Alexander the Great. So from my mouth it came Alexander the Grocer. That's my name. So I was teaching at Contra Costa College today, and one of the students says, yeah, my auntie named me Anne, because Anne was Mary's mother. So she's the grandmother of God. I said, oh, so cool. This is so cool. Name. So the Chinese Taoism, the first chapter of Tao Te Ching, Dao Ke Dao, Fei Chang Dao. The Dao that can be talked about, the path that can be discussed, the words that can be used doesn't clearly describe the path. Or the path that you speak about, Dao Ke Dao, Fei Chang also means unusual. Is that unusual path that's yours. The second sentence, the second paragraph, Ming Ke Ming, Fei Chang Ming, that which can be named, doesn't totally describe the name. Doesn't totally describe what it is. Anne, Mary, Alexander, doesn't describe totally who these people are. So, since a very young age, I've been trained in this kind of mental process. So I'm just like, find no significance in name. Today, I was being evaluated at Contra Costa College. And on the evaluation form, great teacher, subject material, cohesiveness with students, magnificent. They haven't gotten the students' report back, but from the evaluator, he gathered the students really just loved the class. But he wrote, disrespectful. Because I don't call the students by their name. I said, oh, I better reevaluate this. What is in the name? What is in the name? Yes, it doesn't totally describe. But we need something to anchor ourselves so we can say, what was your name?
Joy.
What is it?
Lauren.
Lauren. To anchor a face and a personality with this name, Lauren. And yet, Lauren doesn't totally describe this person that we see first time here today, not by chance. So, Ming Ke Ming, Fei Chang Ming has a dual meaning. Yes and no. It's always the meaning of Taoism. It exists and it doesn't exist at the same time. Yes, it has meaning under certain circumstances. So the character in our tradition, 智道, 智 is written as one line on top, one line on the bottom. They can have two squiggles in the middle, like either a circle or a cross or a triangle and a cross, or way of writing it, meaning the boundaries defines differences, yin and yang. You name something by identifying it, but it is named for this time period. In class, right? If you drive a car, you need ID. Fly anywhere, you need a passport. So it is useful, and yet it doesn't describe who you are. And that is the basic understanding of Taoism, that yes, it exists, it doesn't exist. So, does it help? Is it profound? I was working with a patient, a very wise patient I've known for many years. And last time he was forever searching spiritual path and truth for himself. Lots of struggle with family and so on. So he came to me and says, how do you get to this place of void? The Taoist always believes that it lives in the state that in the beginning there was nothing. The great void, emptiness. Emptiness doesn't mean it's like, emptiness just means everything is ready to happen. Emptiness is just ready to pop, to manifest. That's emptiness. Once you manifest, it's the other side. Right? Yin and Yang is born, or consciousness or name is born. And so in the beginning it was like, and then you open your eyes, and all of a sudden you have all of this. You know? So today, I'm going to teach you a gaze. A gaze. Yeah? Those who practice the five animals know that the tiger has two gazes. One gaze is I am, the other gaze is you're not in my eye. Today's gaze is not like that. Am I going too fast for you? I was told also I was going too fast in my evaluation. My rebuttal was, I expect my students to keep up with me at my speed. It's just a request. And I do this on purpose because I want you to be a little confused and not be so clear about what's happening. Because if you're so clear about what's happening, then you may not be on the right path. So this young man came to me and says, how do you get to this place of the void? Wu-chi. Wu-chi. Wu means nothing. Qi means ultimate. Ultimate nothingness. And then you have this thing called Tai-chi. Tai means great. Chi means ultimate. Tai-chi means aha, recognition, an awareness, consciousness of oneself in a Wu-chi space. Yeah? Want to learn how to do that? Very easy. Just close your eyes for a second. Okay, open your eyes. It only takes a second. In fact, every blink is the same thing. When you close your eyes, do you see anything? It's the same thing as you open your eyes. It's a different kind of seeing, yeah, than an inner seeing. Right? Now this inner seeing is probably no different than this outer seeing in that it doesn't stay the same. I would guess it's probably like smoke. You have visions and ideas, images and histories and emotion that comes and goes as you close your eyes. Let's try it again. Just close your eyes for a second. And open your eyes. Yeah? So, did you see anything this time? Yeah? Who didn't see anything? Or that just... darkness. Maybe a little sparkle here and there, you know. Everybody saw something? Let's do it again. Close your eyes. Now open your eyes. Did you see anything when your eyes are closed? What did you see? Was it the same as the first time?
Oh, every time is different.
Every time is different. Every second is different. So it's elusive. It's really not substantial. It is ethereal. It is smoke. It is almost unreal, if you want to put it that way. Yeah? What else? What did you see?
I didn't see anything that I could really recognize.
I did not see anything that I could recognize. I did not see anything that I could recognize. Very profound statement. I didn't see anything. Right? That's what she said. That I can identify with, I can recognize. So she didn't see anything. Right? Right or wrong? She didn't see anything she can connect with. She didn't see anything that attracted her. She didn't see anything that detracted her. She didn't see anything that magnetized her, that moved her, that evoked emotions or thoughts or history or whatever you got. Yeah? That didn't happen for her. It happened to a lot of you. And a lot of you, we call that the meditative process, the inner looking. We try to reach a place where you actually have no thoughts. Yeah, just because these are thoughts that float in your mind. That's the nature of thoughts. So let's just for this